Hi, this is Alexander, and I'm here with Damiano once again. Now, the last time I spoke to Damiano, when we talked about his big deals and how he's improved in business, he was just out of his first 30K month, and he was just a new member in BMI. He'd only been a member for about 4 months back then, if I'm not mistaken. Now it's 6 months later, so he's been a member for about, I think, 10 months now, Damiano. Is that correct?
Yeah, maybe even less than that. Yeah.
What are some things that have changed? So last time we were talking about your first five-figure deal. So what has changed since then?
Yeah, I guess, working with that client, it was the first one, but it gave me and my team a lot of confidence to be able to do it again. And then obviously, we hit 30K a month that month, which was great, but we weren't able to keep it up just because we were in the process of setting up a bunch of processes to get more clients like that. And now, a few months down the line, I would say, less than 4 months later, we are consistently getting clients that size now. And we have an actual process to reach out to those clients. And so now we are consistently making that 30K a month. And we have closed clients for several months, even up to a year's time. So they are paying us for all sorts of different services that we're offering to them. And so far, the results have been great.
Interesting. So you just closed your first 4 months of the year, just finished actually. So you closed a total of 120K this year in collected payments, that is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And we have more coming in.
And then you have in total still, according to the contracts, you have another $180,000 still coming in from deals that you've already.
That's correct. And we still have all of the rest of the year to close even more deals.
Interesting. So the year so far, including contracts that are signed, is so far with 4 months in, it's 300K. That's a pretty good year.
And we are trying to get to the $500,000 point. And I think I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get there. We kind of stepped up our game. Now we have this sweet office. I was able to bring a lot of the team all in one place. So productivity went up, which is great. And now, we're just getting ready to even add more clients to our pipeline.
Interesting. And what are some things that you've changed? So since 6 months ago, since October, since we last spoke, what are some things that have changed since then that have allowed you to do this?
So I've delegated a lot better. That's one of the things that the mastermind was really able to teach me how to do properly. Now I have project managers, which is great. We figured out this rule of thumb that no one should have more than 5 people reporting to them, and that made everything run a lot smoother. I was able to place project managers between me and the delivery, the people that were actually doing the development of all the websites and stuff. And now, obviously, because they're there in between us, the number of questions directed towards me went way down. So the number of the amount of work that I have to do in the company went way down, and now I can concentrate on what a CEO is actually supposed to do, which is getting deals, making partnerships, and working on the business rather than in the business.
You're still working on an equity deal. Are we allowed to talk about that, or?
So I'm not allowed to talk about it, but yes, there is an equity deal in play right now with a pretty large corporation, and hopefully once we close that, I would be more than happy to share.
Sure, no problem. And then in terms of the rev share deals, how did you set those up?
We offer web development services as well as marketing services for our clients. And so we usually come up with a solution that would incentivize us to do a really, really good job for the client and strive for those results. We pretty much tell the client that we would need a retainer for the work, plus a certain percentage of the revenue that will be generated directly through the activities that we would manage. And then part of that revenue also goes back to the team. So the team actually has an incentive to go out and make sure that the client makes more revenue. So it's a win-win situation for pretty much everyone. Not just us, but the client and the team too.
You basically have a deal where not only do you get retainers, but you get rev share as well. That's an interesting type of deal. I like that. It's quite standard, but the way that you're doing it is not 100% standard. It's actually better. So the way you're doing it is locking it in for the number of months that you feel comfortable with. And that increases the odds of results for your clients as well, right?
Exactly. And especially with the industry that we're in, we work in e-commerce, you usually need an entire year. You need the 4 quarters to be able to really market something properly. A lot of people know that it's the last quarter of the year when most e-commerce companies make their money. And so the first 3 quarters are that preparation and getting ready for the last push of the year to bring in double or triple the revenue. So it's been something that we've learned from working with a lot of clients in the past. And because we have the track record and we've done it in the past, it's just become a lot easier to make that sale to new leads, new clients. clients.
Just a few minutes ago, you mentioned that you moved to an office. So how has that changed the dynamic of working with your team? You said it's more efficient, everyone's there, but is more stuff getting done essentially? Or fewer people leaving? Is there fewer people you have to replace? Like, how does it work?
So we never really had the issue of having to replace people or people leaving, just because our culture has been pretty strong since the start. The vision behind Startups Flying has been pretty good and something that people can get behind. And bringing everyone here in Toronto under one roof has just brought up productivity way up, just in terms of communication and just in terms of like culture as well. Like, I would like to pride myself to say that I'm the first one in and the last one out, but I'm not. Like, I have team members who stay here throughout the night and they work just because they're passionate about the projects that they're working on and they want to deliver for their clients, or for our clients. And so it has definitely been a step in the right direction. And then the other thing is that the office where we are, it's pretty sweet. It's in downtown Toronto, and so a lot of these larger clients, they do want to come to our office. They do want to meet us here in a professional boardroom, and it does make the difference at the end of the day, in terms of social proof, in terms of what a company can become with time. I think before, when we were working remotely, it was a certain type of client that we were able to get. Now that we do have a home base and actual headquarters here in downtown Toronto, it's a completely different type of client that we might not have had access to.
And how much can you travel while doing all this? Because I remember earlier this year you did travel quite a bit. I think you went to Italy, right?
Yes. So I went to Europe after a long time. So I do plan on traveling quite a bit, but I just make sure that it's not the entire year. So at the end of this year, like starting in September, I will be traveling to a different part of the world every month until the end of the year. But I didn't, like, from like February to September, I'm here in Toronto. I'm not going anywhere. And so we are kind of moving towards being able to take parts of the company to travel with us whenever it makes sense, like to conferences and things like that. I like to bring my project managers. We're going to one in October, Shopify conference in England, and my project managers are going to be coming as well. And so we are learning as a company how to travel properly, but it definitely helps to have like a headquarter with people that are working here and not everyone in the company traveling, but making sure that we are traveling. It is something that's going to advance the company, not just traveling for fun.
That's quite a big amount of progress you've made since October. Congratulations. That's very, very impressive. And it's great to hear that you have new office you're working from as well, and that everyone's nearby. I think it makes a huge difference once you want to grow from mid six figures to beyond. And I think over the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months, we will see you most likely grow to seven figures, because that's the growth I've seen over the last 6 months. So we'll see what happens, because I know you're working on some big deals that we're not allowed to mention yet. So if they come through, we're going to maybe do in half a year another interview. It's going to be even bigger and better. Always great to document all this.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for that. It's great to hear that from you. It's great to get the motivation. I mean, everybody here knows that we're trying to get to that 100K a month. And so it is the goal. Everybody is moving towards the same direction. So really, really awesome to see the motivation that people have. Hopefully, seven figure in the next 6 months sounds pretty good. Hopefully we get there.
So thank you very much, Damiano. See you next time. We kept it nice and short this time because it's an update video, but thank you very much, and see you in the mastermind.
Great. Thank you, Alex.